Hi, I'm Selima Harleston Lust from Iwilla Remedy, where we teach you how to turn your health issues into non-issues with herbal medicine and the Calypso healing method. In today's video, we're making medicine. I'm going to walk you through how to make an herbal infused oil and a salve. This recipe we're using is my first aid salve. We are running low on our home supply, so it's time to make more, so this is perfect time to show you how. This is my go-to for all minor first aid concerns like shallow cuts, stings, scratches, bites, scrapes, sprains, and strains. You can even use this oil for skin issues like rashes, eczema, fungal infections, dryness, and cracks, and so much more. It speeds up healing, reduces minor itching, relieves minor pain, is antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory, super easy to apply, and very convenient to travel with. We have some before and after pictures so you can see how well it works. And one very important note about this oil is that it is not intended for deep cuts and wounds. It's only for shallow wounds and cuts only, and I'll explain why in a bit. So let's get to it. Here's the equipment you need for both the infused oil and the salve. A slow cooker or your oven turned on the lowest heat setting, 2 glass jars, 1 medium-sized glass jar like a salsa jar with the lid, and a smaller glass jar. You need some water, coconut oil, olive oil, or jojoba oil, whatever your preferred skin oil it is, a medium bowl, strainer, spoon, maybe a silicone spatula if you have one, some beeswax or your preferred wax that's suitable for body care, shea butter, cocoa, or mango butter, your favorite essential oil if you use essential oils, paper and tape to label your medicine. And of course, you'll need 1 ounce by weight of dried herbs. I'm using equal parts, meaning 1/4 of an ounce of each of the herbs: calendula, lavender, plantain, and comfrey leaf. I'll briefly explain the benefits of these herbs and why I included them in my first aid oil after we make our medicine. So be sure to stay until the end to learn about the benefits of these 4 plants and some nuances with working with them. Some other herbs that you can include and play with are chamomile, rose petals, St. John's wort, elder leaf, yarrow, or even the mint, just to get you started with some ideas. Let's make our oil with all of your ingredients. Here I have a crock pot and a funnel, and I'm going to start adding my plant material, which has already been pre-measured out 1 ounce, 1/4 of an ounce by weight of each herb. There's our lavender. Now I'm adding the plantain. Here's our calendula. And lastly, adding the comfrey. So we have a total of 1 ounce of herb. And up next, I'm gonna add the coconut oil, which is my preferred oil. It's light, it's antimicrobial, and I'm adding 2 cups of coconut oil so that the herbs infuse in the coconut oil. You really want to make sure that all of the herb gets kissed by the oil so that the pharmacological constituents that are oil soluble transfer into the oil from the plant. Close your jar really tightly. You don't want any moisture to get into your infused oil while it infuses in the crock pot. Shake it up. I was just admiring the colors. And now I'm going to add enough water into the crock pot so that it fills it up to about 1/3 of the way up the jar. Don't fill your crock pot entirely. Don't even do it halfway. And now you're going to cover it, put it on its lowest setting, and let it infuse overnight for about 4 hours. And now it's time to strain. I'm using a paper towel to wipe the bottom of the jar because I don't want any moisture, I don't want any water to get into my oil when I open it and transfer into the other pot. Smells so good. I know you can smell it from the screen. So I poured the oil into the pot and I cleaned out my jar a little bit. I want to use the same jar. So I wanted to take the plant material. I wanted to get all the plant material out of the jar. You can press down a little bit to get the excess oil out of the herb. And up next, I'm going to use another strainer to get the smaller particles out. And here's our final oil. This is our infused first aid oil. You can use it like this, but up next, we're gonna make a salve. Gather your salve ingredients, and now I'm adding to our clean pot 2 teaspoons of beeswax, You want the heat on the lowest setting so that it doesn't burn. Needed to get that final chunk. And here's 1 tablespoon of shea butter. But you can use your preferred butter, mango butter, or cocoa butter. And now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of our infused oil. There's our 3rd tablespoon. On low heat, I'm going to let everything melt. And then we're going to pour into your smaller jar. This recipe makes exactly 2 ounces. And then I'm going to let it sit in the refrigerator or the freezer for a few hours until it hardens. After it hardens, your salve is ready to use. You can also add a few essential oils, maybe 10 drops or so of your favorite essential oil if you like. So now we have our oil and we have our salve. So let's talk about the plants. Now keep in mind all of the plants that have many more benefits that I'm going to mention here. Instead of overwhelming you, I just want to give you some of the pertinent information to first aid. Calendula is a plant that is traditionally used for skin concerns, among other benefits. It's anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and antiseptic, astringent, demulcent, emollient, hemostatic, and vulnerary. These herbal actions essentially mean that calendula is really helpful for wounds, burns, cuts, scratches, scrapes, and insect bites. Calendula is an excellent plant for aiding in tissue repair and wound healing. While lavender is well known as a relaxing herb, it also has a lot of wound care benefits. It's analgesic and anodyne, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, and rubefacient. These help us to understand that lavender is really helpful for burns, insect stings and bites, mild pain relief, swelling, and for cleansing and dressing wounds. Plantain has many first aid benefits. It's anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antiseptic. You can see a theme here. Anti-venomous, astringent, and emollient. Plantain is an excellent plant that draws out foreign substances from the body, like venom, pus, splinters, dirt. It has this intelligence to know what doesn't belong and to remove it. Plantain is super useful for snake bites, although let's be real, if you have a snake bite, you probably need to go to the hospital. Insect bites, stings, rashes, poison ivy, burns, and splinters. Because plantain grows abundantly, it's really, really useful for when you're camping. If you've correctly identified it, then you can take a leaf, chew it up, put it on a wound that you have. Just make sure the area is not sprayed. Make sure perhaps, dogs haven't peed on it. You just want to be careful, and you want to know that you're correctly identifying it. And comfrey is a powerhouse herb for first aid. It's anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, astringent, you're hearing these words again, demulcent, emollient, hemostatic, rejuvenative, and vulnerary. This means comfrey is useful for cuts, bruises, burns, sores, insect bites, ruptures, and strains. Comfrey also assists in proper scar formation, irritation from sun exposure. It soothes, repairs, and protects damaged tissue. But there's a big caveat here for comfrey is it heals from the top down, meaning if you have a deep wound and you apply comfrey, those top layers of the skin and tissue are going to heal first, potentially trapping bacteria inside. You know, we've seen this firsthand when using our oil when Niles jammed his toe when he was around 2 years old. We had to reopen the wound to release the pressure, which was obviously not ideal. So with that said, you can also leave comfrey out or make a separate oil of it because it is really valuable as a first aid herb. My sister-in-law, Tammy's sister, just got a gash on her toe this past weekend at our house. It makes me so excited. She's fine. And it was too deep for us to apply this oil initially, so we used yarrow oil, and I sent her home with our first aid oil to apply after a few days had passed. So my niece hurt her leg pretty badly, and this is what it looked like. It was oozing, a little crusty on the outside, swollen, and we see some redness. After 1 day of applying the oil, this is how quickly it can work. It's no longer oozing, the redness has gone down, and now after 2 days, this is what the wound looks like. It's less tender, less red, and we're starting to see layers of skin that are being repaired and being brought together. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.